The Money in the Bank briefcase is a historic concept which lost its prestige over the last few years. However, a credible winner who wouldn't be a transitional champion could bring back prestige to the briefcase. Now, there are a few wrestlers who are in contention to win this contract, and let's start off by the most important one, the favorite to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, Jey Uso. Jey Uso has been on a great run of form. He has his entire yeet movement and people with their flashlights doing the hand up and down thing. Jey Uso has picked up some great momentum post WrestleMania. The briefcase could help Jey Uso win his first ever world title. Jey Uso definitely needs the world title soon, and it's definitely not going to be Cody's title that Jey wins. So Jey is probably going to win the World Heavyweight Championship if he is winning any title, and the Money in the Bank briefcase could help him do that. Also, it'll be a cool dynamic if you're going to get Cody, Roman and the good bloodline versus the rip-off Walmart version of the bloodline. If you're gonna get that feud around Survivor Series, it would be a cool dynamic to see Jey Uso holding the Money in the Bank briefcase while Cody Rhodes is the undisputed WWE World Heavyweight whatever champion. If Jey Uso was to win the contract, I wouldn't mind. He was the number one contender though at Backlash, so I think we need some time off from Jey Uso in the main event scene, but definitely the contract would help elevate Jey Uso from an upper mid-carder to a main eventer. Moving on to my second pick who could win the Money in the Bank contract, Drew McIntyre, the crybaby of WWE, who just killed CM Punk in his hometown in Chicago, Illinois. On Raw, Drew promised to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. I mean, I could see Drew winning and then cashing in on Damian Priest. That would actually be quite funny, since he was crying that the Money in the Bank is a horrible concept. It cheapens everything. But I still could see him winning the contract, cashing in on Priest and even Gunther, who he has history with, and winning the championship, leading to Drew versus Gunther at Bash at Berlin, where Gunther could possibly beat Drew and Punk could cost him. But no, definitely I do see Punk versus McIntyre happening at SummerSlam. I don't think you can delay it further than that. And Drew winning the title or winning the briefcase would cause some issues in the feud. I don't see Drew versus Punk happening for the title. It doesn't really need the title. A match like Damian versus Gunther that I really don't care about would need the title over Drew versus Punk. However, seeing Drew run around with the briefcase, taunting champions, swinging the briefcase in front of their face, not actually cashing in though, that would be a really cool dynamic to see, and I really wouldn't mind if Drew McIntyre won the Money in the Bank contract. However, I do feel Drew will enter the match and Punk will end up costing Drew, returning at Money in the Bank in Canada. Moving on to my third pick, and this is a bit of an out of the box one, Solo Sikoa, the cheaper version of Roman Reigns, the first copy Roman Reigns, the cheap tribal chief. Solo, the man working for The Rock, the interference champion. So he already has one invisible belt around his waist. But Solo winning the Money in the Bank actually would be kind of cool, because he obviously is challenging Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. He doesn't really need it, but I could see him giving the Money in the Bank contract to The Rock and The Rock just cashing it in for a main event match at WrestleMania. Your Money in the Bank contract holder should actually do that. They should just take the main event at WrestleMania. Solo could win the contract for The Rock to help The Rock get an opportunity against Cody Rhodes. Also, if Solo was to win and use the opportunity for himself, he's pretty much guaranteed to win the world title because he's the interference champion. He's so good at interfering and ruining matches that he's practically guaranteed to win the world title. So Solo winning the Money in the Bank is practically him winning the World Heavyweight Championship, or whatever Cody's title is called, God only knows. Moving on, my fourth pick who could win the Money in the Bank contract, Finn Balor, Fergal Devitt. The dynamic between Damian and Finn with the Judgment Day already splitting would be really cool to see, as Balor would be the Money in the Bank holder, Damian would be the champion. At SummerSlam, I'm assuming Damian Priest will take on Gunther for the heavyweight title, and if Finn Balor was to cash in, win the title from Damian Priest, and that would be a really cool moment, hitting a coup de grace on Damian Priest, kicking Damian out of the Judgment Day, and him becoming the World Heavyweight Champion. It would be full circle to the moment where Damian would cost Finn Balor against Seth Rollins at SummerSlam 2023, where he put his briefcase in the middle of the ring for Finn to use, but Seth would curb storm Finn Balor on the briefcase and pin Finn Balor 1, 2 and 3. and retain the championship against Finn Balor, and Finn wouldn't get redemption for his loss in 2016. So I could definitely see Finn Balor holding that contract, saying he would cash in on Cody Rhodes, obviously, until he and the Judgment Day would turn on Damian Priest. Maybe Damian Priest beats Gunther, which I don't think should happen, because that would bury Gunther if a transitional champion beat him. But if Balor was to win the briefcase, he definitely has to cash in on Damian at SummerSlam. I can't see Damian holding the title longer than SummerSlam. Again, he's a transitional champion. Drew McIntyre's words, not mine. Balor doesn't really need to be developed. The cracks in the Judgment Day are already forming. And maybe with the help of Liv Morgan, Balor picks up the win in the Money in the Bank match. I know Balor has been eliminated, and Jey Uso eliminated him in that qualifying match thing. Maybe we get like a, ooh, Chad Gable is dead, and we need a replacement, and then Balor wins that, Balor wins the contract, we move. My fifth pick to win the Money in the Bank contract, who I think will be in this match definitely, is Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes just came on the main roster. He can use the Money in the Bank to elevate himself to the next level, to that upper mid-card scene. Right now I see him as a lower mid-carder, not doing much. I don't see him winning like a US title, but the Money in the Bank contract could be used to elevate Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes did win the NXT Breakout competition, and I think was the first man to like cash it in and win the North American title. So he's definitely like experienced in that sort of dynamic where you like cash in and that sort of thing where you go in between of a match. So I could definitely see Carmelo Hayes winning. I wouldn't mind him winning, but I think it's too early for Carmelo Hayes. Maybe like 2025 I do see him winning. But he needs some more time to develop against the likes of the Kevin Owens and LA Knight and those kind of guys. Moving on to my fifth pick who could win the Money in the Bank briefcase, Chad Gable. Now he qualified for the Money in the Bank ladder match on the most recent Raw. And if Gable was to win, he's going to cash in on the IC title. The IC title is the World Heavyweight title in the eyes of Chad Gable. I could see Braun Breaker defeating Sami Zayn in his hometown at Canada and going on like this crazy, insane reign of terror, squashing guys in like 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and he beats like a JD McDonough in like 10 seconds or something like that at a pay-per-view. I could definitely see that happening. And then we get like this clash of titans. Braun Breaker, Gunther, like the main event, or not the main event, but like one of the good matches at WrestleMania, and they have like this absolute slogfest 30-minute match, and Gable just cashes in, rolls up Braun Breaker, picks up the win, and just steals the title at WrestleMania. That dynamic would be absolutely perfect, where Gable at every match that Breaker has is just standing ringside waiting to cash in his contract, or he's doing some sort of buffoonery or clownery or something he's doing. He's planning something, some masterstroke to win this Intercontinental Championship. That dynamic would be absolutely... I'm going to use the word dynamic so many times in this video. But that dynamic would be absolutely amazing. Moving on to my final pick to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. It's LA Knight. Yeah. Currently he's in a feud with Logan Paul, so I imagine something will happen there, leading to a match at SummerSlam. However, I do feel LA Knight can win the Money in the Bank contract. I also do believe that his time was last year, his time to win the briefcase. They choked it by giving to El Campeon. Mr. Monday Night, rise for El Campeon. However, LA Knight could still win the Money in the Bank briefcase. He's already a credible star. The briefcase just fits with his gimmick. The $1 million man, LA Knight. The classy man, LA Knight. Just fits with his gimmick. And if he is to win the contract, he's definitely winning a title. He could probably even cash in on Cody Rhodes and win that championship. I wouldn't be shocked. He'd add prestige to the Money in the Bank briefcase. And there's nothing much to really say here. However, it wouldn't make much storyline sense if LA Knight was to win. If you want to have like this great storyline, you probably give it to someone like a Finn Balor or like a Solo Sikoa or a Jey Uso or a Chad Gable, one of those guys. LA Knight is just that top star. You can just trust him with the briefcase. He could just elevate the briefcase and add prestige to it. So from the 6 options that I gave, which I think should be the match in Money in the Bank, so we get Solo Sikoa versus Chad Gable versus Carmelo Hayes versus Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight versus Jey Uso versus Fergal Devitt for the Money in the Bank contract. Now, from these 6, my favorite option to win the contract is Finn Balor. He's the quickest option to get the title off Damian Priest, build a great storyline in the process, and we could get a good feud between the two leading up to Bad Blood. Finn Balor winning, moreover, wouldn't disrupt other storylines taking place, like the Jey Uso bloodline story, the Solo Sikoa Cody Rhodes and The Rock story, the Drew McIntyre and CM Punk story, the LA Knight and Logan Paul story, and Chad Gable can just run around for the title. So I think Finn Balor wins the Money in the Bank briefcase. Triple H needs to pull some strings and somehow get Finn Balor to win the Money in the Bank contract.